Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Lijun. I'm a PhD candidate in the management of the School of Management of Universities in Malaysia. Now, I will introduce my article. The title of my article is Impact of China Provide Higher Education Institutions Blended Learning Civil Quality in the Post-COVID-19 era. And then we are seeing the introduction. In August 2021, China decided to balance the prevention and control of COVID with social and economic stability. This will be done for a long time to come. And it will called Delimate Convert Zero. There are a few countries in the world that don't follow this strategy. For example, most countries like Malaysia, the US, the UK don't follow this strategy. They don't keep people in quarantine and clean their hands and keep them apart to wear masks while they are in quarantine. When the COVID-19 hit, China provide higher education institutions. CPHs started to a lot of blended learning (BL). This was to lessen the effect the COVID-19 had on education, and it worked. We know all of the CPHs usually evaluated their civil quality SQ. So in the post-COVID-19 era, require students to regularly evaluate the civil quality of CPHs, including BL. And then we can see the literature review. Yeah, the keyword BL and SQ were used during the literature review process. And the Web of Science database was used to search for English language articles that were published between 2012 and 2021. 8 articles were found. Yeah, if you look at the figure 1, you can see that there were many research papers with the keyword BL and SQ. Yeah, between 2012 and 2020, the number of papers that were published state about them at an average of 1.3 per year. In 2021, when COVID-19 hit, the publication output tripled. There are 6 papers published. And then we can see the table 1. Yeah, in table 1, we can see all the publications during 2012 to 2021, country of authors, and the keywords editing page by the author. We can see 40 articles were the keywords of BL. SQ is a way to measure how satisfied customers are with the servers. It comes from the expectations. Many people think about SQ in higher education institutions through research. This is a better way to think about SQ for higher education, and it can be inferred from how people think about higher education as a safe. Many tools have been made to help people figure out how good this SQ is in higher education institutions, like the CivCo and CivProf models. Yeah, in the research, I was using a modified circle model, including 7 dimensions, namely tangible, reliability, responsiveness, assurance, efficacy, cost workstage, and post-convert error variance. Fingo 2 is the framework of BLSQ in CP-Hertz. And then we can see the research methodology. Yeah, the creator from a summary of research on the perils to examine the to examine the BLSQ in the post-COVID-19 errors of CP-Hertz. And in the table 2, we can see the 7 dimensions and numbers of atoms. Yeah. And we use the 问卷星 and we use the 问卷星 technology to disable and distribute online the querying. And the evaluation was conducted using a 5-point Richter scale. In this research, 260 students from the Bayless College of Guizhou University of Finance and Economics were joined. And after EFA, 8 atoms were removed, and we leaving 16 atoms. We can see that in the table 3, this is the checklist in circle models, and there are 16 atoms and 7 dimensions. Okay, let me see the result of my research. Yeah, in Fingo 2, the gap analysis found that all BLSQ protection scores are higher than expectations and raise in an ascending order. Yeah, as shown in the graph, the post-COVID-19 error variance minus 0.145. Expectancy minus 0.123. Assurance minus 0.078. Cost workstage minus 0.060. Tangible minus 0.040. Expenseless minus 0.025, and reliability minus 0.025. And in the Fingo 3, we can see the gap between proposition and expectation for each dimension. The findings suggest that all dimensions can be improved. Okay, let me see the discussion. Yeah, the purpose of this study was to find out how the BLSQ of CP-Hertz changed in post-COVID-19 era. Yeah, one interesting thing about empirical research in general is all of the gap in the research items are bad. However, the gap score for the 7 dimensions are very small and almost lacking. Yeah, especially in responsiveness and reliability, which are the 2 most important. And SIPCO were used in this study to look at the BLSQ of CP Hearst. The model was used by many people in the past to look at the SQ of the higher education institutions. As a view, the starting of finding are very different from the findings of mine. Studied on other CP Hearst. So it's very different. Okay, let's see the conclusions. The three improvement to BSQ in CP Hearst. One, student errors of the post-COVID-19 error should be increased. Six, two, and teachers' attention to students' needs should be increased. And three, instructional shifts should also be professional. Okay, that's all. Thank you.